Well, we're about to find out if that's going to happen again because picks and bans are ready, everyone. It's game number 4, Splyce versus Rival. Is Rival going to get second place again 2 years in a row? Is Splyce, the North American rival, as some people have been calling it, going to take it out from them?
Are they the new bridesmaids of Europe is what you're really asking us here right now, because the only time that I can really remember this feeling is back in the day when it was always Ataraxia and Pretty Prime who would end up falling short, and now it seems like Rival could very well be in the same position.
And it would be interesting to see because Splyce were the ones that knocked out Obey Alliance during those quarterfinals without dropping a single game. They were able to take out Dignitas in the semifinals without dropping a game. Lost the first game of this set, but so far winning 2 in a row, giving them a lot of momentum in this fourth game.
Xbalanque first picked. Is that something that you would have ever guessed going into the Smite World Championships?
There's nothing you can guess or predict going into these two teams, Rival and Splyce, mixing things up.
I can definitely understand it. Darkest Night for the longest time has been considered one of the best, if not the best, team fighting ultimates in competitive play, and it's because of the fact that it shuts down all communications. You can't see, you can't make calls.
Ooh, and the Rival pick coming for, or Naja coming out of Rival there, really like that. Instead of saying, you know what, we don't want you to have the Freya, we don't want you to have the Geb, and we're not gonna let you have the Naja either.
The Terra is a great utility pick to allow these team fights to just succeed for Rival instead of being so close range. I think that the Terra could be played for Deathwalker despite having more success on the aggressive gods. He's probably gonna take a note from what Divios did in the last game.
You know what you guys keep saying is don't give Cyno Naja, but then we also saw in the semifinals that you can't give him Ratatoskr, a Wheelish, you can't give him Achilles, you can't really give him anything.
Well, I think out of all the gods, don't give him a god that he has 100% success rate this tournament.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair. How are you liking this so far? Xbalanque, Fenrir, and Puch coming out of Splyce, and then Rival, it's Naja, Terra, and Raijin.
Well, they crossed off 2 of the things that I needed to see for this adaptation was taking away the Naja from Cyno and picking the Raijin for Wlfy this time around. I think he has the range necessary to make it difficult for Fenrir to get in there.
Terra is also a really smart selection because if you notice in the last game, Divios was typically waiting until somebody was already up in the air, and then the members of Rival who would push in to try and help bail out whoever was landing, they would get hit by the Earthen Fury. I think that's the same mentality that Rival are shooting for here. Terra is only ever going to help benefit those Raijin and Naja a little bit further. And on top of that, though, it does leave them exposed to Moswal having his outwash.
You know, it kind of looks like from what game 1s to 2 that we saw that this is kind of flipping the script a little bit. These two teams now trying to do what the opposite did.
It seems that way. Splyce is the ones banning away the Odin. Rival not taking the bait, picking it before the secondary ban phase, looking for a different alternative as they need to get back into this set. They're figuring the things out between this Naja, Terra, Raijin, all 3 elements that allowed Splyce the victory in the last game.
Is this Odin ban coming up because they don't have the Naja anymore, so it's no longer a non-factor? Odin really could do a good job there.
I think they just don't want to have to worry about it if they can avoid it. If they have Naja or Geb, then they don't mind dealing with an Odin, but Rival having removed those key components away from Splyce, it's just a little bit too risky. And when you're already this close to closing out the World Championship Series, I cannot fault Splyce for not wanting to take the chance.
Look at this Rival comp so far.
A little surprised to see the Artio, seeing that Fenrir is on the opposite end. You can always Ragnarok Artio back in. Terra doesn't have any CC immunity either. I think Splyce banned away the Wlfy, however, on purpose because to help the Fenrir and also maybe to pick Circuit for Cyno.
Oh my gosh, we forgot about Merc.
We forgot.
We forgot about Merc.
Everybody forgot about Mercury in this set because all Cyno's been playing the entire time is Naja. And now if he gets this Mercury underway, that could pose a serious problem here for the Naja, but it also does seem like his famous Ratatoskr is going to be the call instead.
From one global god to another, going from a sonic boom to through the cosmos, those branches, he's going to be flying around, diving the back line. Wlfy's going to need to be mindful of that presence.
I'm excited to see this Ratatoskr go in and then everyone just collapse on top of whoever he decides to go on, because that definitely seems to be the case for Splyce, following Cyno in on his lead.
I'm actually really glad, Tolly, that you just brought up the go on Wlfy strategy here for Splyce, because looking at Puch, Ratatoskr, and Fenrir, these gods can all play off of each other incredibly well, and not only that, but Taiko Drums, you're a sitting duck. There is nowhere left for you to run. If Wlfy wants to use that ultimate, he's going to have to do it under the constant fear of being counter-initiated.
So Splyce's consistent strategy in the late game against Dignitas was Xbalanque ult, Cyno blink, I believe it was Divios blinking in as well. Zeros was playing the Discordia and the Thoth, but I think Raijin can handle it a little bit better.
Kabam smiling and laughing before that pick right there. What do you think is going through his mind?
Kumbhakarna, that's what's going through his mind, and I can imagine what Aror is saying, let me belly bop them.
No, that's going to be Fenrir support. That's going to be Kumbhakarna in the solo lane
On
for Divios.
And we've seen what he can do with Geb. I can't even imagine what he can do with Kumbhakarna.
It's so obnoxious because when you get a little bit of cooldown reduction, that epic uppercut, you're using it like about every 60 seconds.
I mean, he's kind of taking the role of what Naja was doing, taking one player out of the issue and dealing with that afterwards.
The Fenrir and Kumbhakarna still feel a little bit flexible, though, for Splyce, because we have seen Fenrir for Divios in the past. We've also seen Divios playing the Kumbhakarna. That's one thing that I've always liked about Splyce, though, is just they're so entertainable with a lot of their god pick selections.
So how, if you were Rival, how would you want to finish off this comp?
Probably in Rom. You're looking for a safety net. You don't want to get dove on. You're able to go up into the sky to buy yourself time, to peel for yourself, or maybe a safe Jing wave.
You need gods that aren't dependent on being interrupted here.
Yeah, the Ratatoskr knock-up, you want to be able to agility dash away from
Apollo? Nope, the Jing Wei is going to be picked out there.
It's a safety pick, obviously, because the Ratatoskr ultimate knocks you up. Jing Wei can just dash away.
So looking at these two comps right here, what can we expect out of game number 4?
I'm actually not really a fan of Rival. I don't really like their draft here.
I actually do. I think that they have a better team fighting draft as opposed to the last game. They were too committed to this frontline Odin Robin in game number 3. This time around, it's well balanced that they can at least play defense if they get behind.
It just feels like they have a lot of forced response picks to what Splyce were bringing out, and I think that because of that element of surprise that Splyce still withhold, that's going to end up biting Rival in the butt.
But the thing was, that's what they did in the very first game, where they were taking a lot of things away, where they picked up the Raijin, they picked up the Xbalanque rather, and that option away from CycloneSpin has changed to the point where they are first picking it now for Splyce.
You know, it's something too that you said, getting it for that, they want that team fight, but what we saw from last game, Splyce wasn't really engaging into the team fights until they got those safe picks here. Is that something that we're going to expect again? And as a Rival, in response, going to try and not let those picks happen?
There's a lot of opportunity for picks for Splyce. Rival needs to be having wards all across the map to identify when that's happening.
Taco, who's got this game?
I think Splyce might bring it home.
Anatoly?
I have Rival. We're going to game 5.
Ooh, going to game 5 is a possibility, but it might just be it, everyone, for game number 4. This is the Smite World Championships. Let's head to the casters.
Thank you so much, Kelly, on the desk. We're into game 4 then, and I want to check with the crowd. Would you like a game 5? Okay.
They don't.
They really don't like me up here. I don't know what's going on.
They're busy doing their own chant right now. They're ready for Splyce to try and take it here at game 4.
Hey man, I'm dummy excited. Solo Kumbhakarna. I love this pick. It's so good. It's a very Divios selection as well.
It is, and great call by Toli. That's exactly where that was going to go because that has been the MO for Splyce so far this tournament. Give Divios these big control guardians that he can really bully mages with, but still be an initiator for.
And what you were saying to me as well, Artio, you always want Artio attached to this Fenrir almost.
Yes, exactly. You want that cripple field as close as possible towards this Fenrir, but if Aror can get aggressive, that Fenrir should be able to get aggressive.
Now Kumbhakarna is way better at this sort of play than a Geb was earlier. Groggy Strike has a root. Callisto took his charge, switches forms, gets away.
That's a big deal though. That's gonna mess up the lane.
No, you normally want to start with your 3 at level 1 anyways because you can dash through the wave pretty easily, plus your 1 doesn't cleave through all the minions unless you're right to the side, which is a very vulnerable state to be in, but this is the first time Splyce has been able to do this start all week.
Now they're going to get pressure in the dual lane because of this, but look on the right-hand side and see that Deathwalker throws his minion wave, so he's not getting hurt too much in the laning phase, which we've seen before when this situation happens.
Losing a ton of HP though. I mean, Splyce here, they trade that out for pressure in the lane and the purple buff. Is that all well and good?
Yeah, absolutely, because Auror's got Guardian's Blessing, plus 3 health potions. He's going to get that regen going very quickly. The most important thing is that Rival don't lose red buff on top of all of this. That's where this start can really start to hurt you as the enemy team, is when the enemy can get both purple and red. But by iceicebaby going straight from speed to the red buff, it guarantees that Splyce can only get 1 buff out of the start.
Well, Rival this game going to take a page out of Splyce's book and just show them they can play the Naja as well in the jungle if required to. iceicebaby's played this on and off throughout these careers, no real shock.
Absolutely. I mean, Cyno has kind of been the Naja guy. That's when he came into the league playing. But iceicebaby's Naja is absolutely standout. It's one of his go-to aggressive characters.
It needed to be picked. That's the thing. Splyce really did force Rival's hand, and that they had to take this Naja away. And that's where these picks and bans. I mean, if we go to a game 5, I feel like Naja's got to be first pick.
This is why I said the Kumba is a very Divios pick. It's a Guardian with a ton of control, like you mentioned, Graham, but it's also aggressive. When you're building it in the solo lane, you're going to get a Void Stone. You're going to get some of these damage-oriented items, and so you watch him clear the wave and toss a minion at the player. He's looking for the poke.
But at the same time, with a Kumbhakarna, when you get to the team fight stage, you're looking for the big execute knockup. Problem is the composition that Splyce have drafted here don't have much follow-up.
No, they don't, but Aror's in some trouble. He's used everything, but he has a horrific emblem of his own. That'll slow Vote away from him long enough to get him back to safety. Both these supports can be very aggressive, and so I think the double horrific emblem makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, potion situation as well is a bit of an advantage so far for Callus. Obviously, Guardian's Blessing sustains after minions dying nearby, as long as you don't get the last hit. So both supports know how much health they can really afford to take and not be too poked out.
Yeah, I like how aggressive both dual lanes are being right here. I mean, there's really no reason to back off for either Team Rival or Splyce. So both of them going all in, and just like this, he's going to miss the jump, but he finds the Brutalize. Maybe you back off when you miss, but keep going in.
See side on this left-hand side at the moment, just see how this plays out, because I'm a little bit worried he's overextended. Sash doesn't connect from iceicebaby. Cyno with a dash just in time.
Right idea there by Rival to rotate both Ice and Wlfy over to the purple buff, but when someone's invading it, being there as the buff spawns is too late. You have to be there beforehand. Cyno was there beforehand, and so that means that he's able to get the invade cleanly.
That's why it's important at this level of play to have the exact timers. You usually type them into the in-game chat so that your team knows, and you can call that, and like you said, arrive there just before. If you're on time, you're late, because players can one-shot these camps, especially with 1 or 2 players.
Especially with relic situations too. Obviously, both the horrific emblems burn in the laning phase there, but they're on the same timer. So if you see them both burn, both teams actually know when their opposition's one's going to be available as well.
And I think it favors Splyce to have traded horrific emblems, because now Kalas and Vote are both pretty vulnerable to a potential Ratatoskr gank, but Cyno instead is using his ultimate, was thinking about ganking mid, but instead just use it to get these backs.
Oh, but iceicebaby's out of position now. The crypts are emptied, and the outwash from Moswal comes through just when it's required.
No chance. There was no world where Naja gets out.
And it all goes back to Splyce's start, because iceicebaby, instead of doing his usual route, which gets him more XP, he ends up going to red instead of defending his own backs and going to blue and getting all that. He has to play defense based on Splyce's start, which means that he hits level 4 late, or level 5 late, and doesn't have it in order to get away from Cyno.
If he is level 5, he has 2 options. Either he ults and he gets away, or he ults aggressively and waits for his team to come follow up. Maybe he dies, but there's a trade out. All of a sudden, there's so many options and decision trees that he didn't have available because of the start from Splyce. It's the butterfly effect, man.
Love seeing Deathwalker and Divios face off against each other. It's not something you see too often, but both these players are innovators in the solo lane. They bring a lot of unusual stuff. Divios, one of the original creators of some of the jank we've seen before.
It's actually really funny. I think one of the original innovators in that solo lane is actually Cyclone.
Aror gonna go in and pick up iceicebaby. No beats available. Damage out from Cyclone. The Aegis though did some work. Oh, but a beautiful beat from CycloneSpin. Are you kidding me?
Oh man, Splyce out of control right now. You talk about momentum. This is what they're doing. Team Rival still want to fight. Big damage on a Wlfy. It's going to be enough for Cyno, but Aror gets aggressive.
Callus
2
is dead.
players low. Callus is dead.
No, he's
If
not.
Cyclone finds the shot, but he cannot. And so Rival wiggle on out.
Man, that was so close. Great job by Rival to at least bounce back, and Wlfy getting there early is enough to take down Cyno. Now Aror is gonna fall to Wlfy. A nice little cleanup kill for Team Rival's mid laner.
Sloppy.
Sloppy how?
Just sloppy. Splyce stayed too long. right? As soon as the kill comes out from Vote off of big damage from Wlfy, it's time to go. I respect the ability to go back in right there. Not the decision I would have liked to see, but I still see the merit in it. Sticking around after that, that's where the mistake happened.
Going back to the beginning of that fight, though, Aror is able to get it started knowing that Ice has gone for Aegis instead of those beads, as Cyno has the 1v1 up against Vote, and Cyno's gonna win that one easily. Now off to a 1-1-2 start.
Man, what a tournament Cyno's having right now. He gets all the gods banned against him or picked away from him, and he's like, no problem, my god pool is deep enough.
Can't give him Naja, can't give him Merc, can't give him Rat.
Just ban him, right?
The only option.
Speaking of that, though, Mercury was available for this, and he chose against it.
I love the fact that he chose against it. I think a lot of teams would have went to the Mercury. It's raw power. But what Cyno gets out of the Ratatoskr is more presence around the map. He's allowed to apply himself to more lanes, more team fights, and just more game.
It's also a very different style for Splyce. I started this whole set saying how Splyce usually won't blow you out. They'll play it to the long game, and they won't really get those early steamroll advantages. This is the one situation where they do sometimes get those big leads and just steamroll you, is when Cyno gets this very aggressive Ratatoskr.
You want to talk about the best of 5 series? After you win 2 in a row, match point, this is where you look to steamroll and win in 19 minutes.
Splyce on the aggression again, but 4 members of Rival are here. Last time they did this, it traded out relatively even overall. Can't really look for the purple buff with the momentum of how many players Rival did send to defend.
I love how Splyce has been in the biggest situations of all of their careers during this entire thing.
Vote's got no beads. Beautiful knock-up damage is going to cause an issue, but he does escape the clutches of Aror's mouth in time to airstrike back to safety.
Normally, I would say hold that Xbalanque ultimate. Doesn't do a whole lot for you, but Cyclone's actually using it in that position to just distance his auto attacks, get that extra range on those basics. He was actually a moment late. 2 more auto attacks would have been enough to kill Vote before he hit the ground.
One of the lesser thought about parts of that kit. Everybody knows that it turns the lights off, you get stunned, but the extended range, 40 feet, it's longer than the Hachiman. I mean, that's a big, big deal. And so, like you said, spacing out of the team fight, that's something that really advanced Xbalanques are going to make use of.
Aror goes in on Callus again, drops the horrific emblem. Callus going to transform and immediately run back to base as fast as his little bare legs can take him, because Cyno was lurking in the area once more.
Cyno's going to back to base, though. I don't know if Team Rival realized that, but it's good enough to send everybody from Splyce back home.
Love where Splyce is playing right now. I was just about to say it earlier. This is the biggest moment of all of their careers, and it's the willingness to back off the purple buff invade. They're not stubborn. There's a team that is stubborn in all the right ways, where they'll stick to their comps, they'll stick to their guns, they'll play aggressive when behind, but not foolishly so. They're going to play the way that they feel like they can win the most easily, and it seems pretty simple to say, right? But so many teams get so locked in on we have to get this red, we have to get this purple. Splyce is really good at seeing the bigger picture.
It's easy to kind of mix up aggression and recklessness, and that's really the difference here, is that Splyce know that they're aggressive, that's their game plan, but they're not baited or goaded into bad situations. And more importantly, when they do find themselves in said bad situations, they maintain composure and the mental acuity in those crazy moments.
3-2 then as we approach the 10-minute mark into the game at the moment. I'm looking at the goal leads around 1,000, 1,500, give or take, in favor of Splyce. It's not a huge lead, but it's momentum more than anything else that continues from the previous set.
I'm pretty sure that's the first lead Splyce has had in the early game all set. Game 1, they got behind early.
Oh, Divios is a little bit far forward here. 3-man rotation from Rival, and no ultimate available for the Kumbhakarna, and instead he'll go to bed. Not the nice way, that's nightmares, not nice dreams.
Splyce out of position there, rather not in position to take the Gold Fury. A lot of the players were back at base, which is why we see Team Rival go to the right side.
Aror goes in though, looking at iceicebaby, picks him up, into the crypts it goes. The little rat's there too for the cleanup crew if needed. Another kill for Splyce.
This is going to be problematic though. Rival making the rotation. DW on the south side, and trouble! Moswal bitten down by Deathwalker.
And Aror trying to get away now. Rival charging in, Deathwalker looks for the root, can't find it. Rival can't find anything else off the back of the engagement. Overall, it's a 1-for-1.
Just too deep there for Moswal. I would have much preferred to see him drop empty the crypt so that it was follow-up damage and then walk away, because you know Cyno's coming to do the finishing touches. He's going to be doing more damage than you at this point of the game anyways. It would have let Moswal get way further out before the rest of Rival rotated.
A little bit of a thing from CycloneSpin there, looks really good. He's just standing in the jungle, cutting off the option of people trying to get back to pick up some of those minions. Deny some experience, deny a little bit of gold, keep Splyce's momentum going.
Look at Divios' mechanics, stopping the dash midway through with the yawn, finding the ultimate, now providing some damage on top of it. I mean, this is an oddball pick in an oddball position, and I love it.
But the problem is last time Divios did that and went with the epic uppercut, that was a signal from Rival to go, guess what? He's not got CC immunity, he can't get rid of one of us, we can slam him down.
Divios has been doing that quite a bit in that lane, and I think you're right. As soon as that starts to happen more often, now that there's actually enough damage to punch through those protections that he has, that's a real worry for him.
I think the biggest problem is that he doesn't have that passive available. I almost think that Divios is okay with sounding that alarm because he knows he's tanky enough to kind of sustain a lot of the onslaught, and then even when he dies, he's going to have his passive and make that take longer. Splyce can show up and help out.
He has got a bit of cooldown reduction as well coming through, so that'll be a bit easier overall. CycloneSpin making sure everybody here knows exactly that he's got the branching bowler available for him as Aror now returns to this lane. The experience difference really is around the solo to the jungle position. 2-level lead for Cyno, and that is impactful.
Huge, especially for the Ratatoskr, who gets that extra relic very, very early on in this game. Now, so does Wlfy. Wlfy's gotten to pick up his Aegis, which is going to help him out quite a bit. But if I'm Cyno, I'm backing right here. I've got two really, really big, cheap damage options, and Kile and the Gladiator Shield already. Back to base, get the second relic, and look to play aggressive as quickly as possible.
Oracles go down. He's going to clear out the left side of the jungle before he heads back to base. You can see his speed buff respawning soon. So yeah, back now. Cyno's actually just going to go look for the speed to prevent the invade. That is a smart play.
Well, Rival in this situation need to win 2 games in a row to stay in the tournament. Splyce just take one, and they're going to be declared the new world champions. We're guaranteed a new world champion, which is a great thing anyway.
Not out of the ordinary for Team Rival. I mean, this was a situation where I brought it up, Valencia, summer finals, once upon a time, Dignitas was against Team Rival, and they're back against the wall, they bring out an odd pick, they win a game. The next game, they win again. The next game, they take it, it's great. Dignitas actually win that set, but Rival's ability to fight into adversity is a part of this team's identity.
And one good thing for Rival fans right now is Wlfy is on the scoreboard, 2-0-2. Build coming along, a little bit ahead of Moswal as well. You need a big game on this Raijin. They're going to require a lot from him.
Absolutely, and Wlfy's played the set pretty well. I thought that this Raijin pick is something that could really help him out. He's really comfortable on this selection, and it's great at shutting down something like the Opwash, who can't really get away from your Raiju slow very well.
Splyce positioning around the Gold Fury, gonna engage it for the time being, trying to draw in Rival. Remember, the Darkest and Ice is available as Divios goes with the ultimate to iceicebaby, and iceicebaby's already Aegis. He's pulled back into the crypts. The jungler's already dead. Now Deathwalker comes in to try and turn this around.
Cyno on the backside, pushed out the mid lane mage. Moswal doing the damage. It's a 1-for-2. Now Cyno's by himself.
What are you doing, Cyno?
But he doesn't care. Puts him down anyway. Fangs out, exit, tags in the Hunter, and CycloneSpin looking for more.
He's getting some support from Divios as he hung around a bit too far. Airstriking from Vote. Won't find the home he's after. And now Divios is there to push him further back. All the while, is the Gold Fury being done right now?
No, Splyce is backing up because CycloneSpin's a little bit too low. Moswal fairly low on mana as well. Great fight. Cyno 1v3ing that entire duration, but it all starts off because Ice is just too far behind on this Naja. Didn't get a chance to get anything off the entire fight.
Rival are in a spot where you asked for Wlfy to step up. I kind of want to see Ice step up. That's a troublesome train of thought for Team Rival. Every time they win off of team play. And when they start to individualize, they run into issues.
But the thing is, Splyce are playing this so well in terms of when they're going aggressive and who they're going aggressive on. Yes, iceicebaby in the jungle has now died 4 times. You know why? He's got an Aegis here didn't get a chance to get his second relic online at the time. He's just hit level 12. It wasn't even available. And the issue with that means that, well, if they can get the CC chain going on him, it's very hard to break it down.
It was all Divios that started it off with the great identification by Splyce. Even that early start again that set iceicebaby behind is still feeling the impacts of it.
Gold Fury started up again then by Splyce. Divios on zone duty. Kumbhakarna, one of the greatest at it, forces Wlfy and Callus out. Gold Fury's going to go to Splyce, and I don't think we're going to see Rival get here in time to stop it. Even if they do, the mountain that is Divios waits in their path.
Not only does he have the control, but you saw the damage he was able to do to Vote as well. He has two threats, the control from the Yawn and the Root, and just the raw damage. He could just kill you.
Divios, I mean, so much of this set is, in always with Rival, it's what is Deathwalker going to do? And I said very early on from the beginning that Divios has been playing these slow control Guardians, and Deathwalker is going to be the one to play very aggressive. He's been playing Erlong a ton so far this weekend. He was playing the Kukulkan earlier on. But I don't think you can make the argument that Deathwalker has been more impactful so far this set. No. Divios has been the better solo laner in every single one of these games.
I mean, very clearly, one of the games in this set, they won the team fight and thus the game, because Deathwalker gets a 2-man knockup with his ultimate, and Divios gets a 5-man Cataclysm. That right there is the microcosm of this set.
And this is one of the things we discussed about these two solo laners earlier on, is the fact that they're both innovators. Divios, though, a little bit far forward here, going to get sashed and ulted straight away by iceicebaby. 4 members of Rival committing for this and will not find the kill just yet. And in comes Splyce with the Crips.
This is what I was talking about. Divios is able to resist the death for long enough for Splyce to show up. Cyno's going to land on a target. Who's he going to pick?
No one is going to play it safe. Instead, Splyce fall back. Pyromancer available. Lot of investment there from Rival, but the same can be said for Splyce.
Now Pyromancer getting pretty low, and Rival's still here and healthy enough, even with a lot of those ultimates still on cooldown. Divios has to go back to base, but he has his teleport up and ready.
Keep an eye on the ring tosses from iceicebaby. They can bounce off the Pyro, cause some problems, but Aror's going to try and deny that. With the Ragnarok, bringing the Artio to the battlefield. Callus actually still alive, but Aror in a much worse situation. The backline, though, Divios is trying to just get all the way back to the safety of his team.
Aror's out. I did not think he was going to be able to wiggle on out. This is a good opportunity for Rival, though. I mean, is the Fire Giant an option here?
I think so. Earth and Fury is coming up soon, as is Windfire Wheels from iceicebaby, but...
It's 17 minutes, man,
it's 17 minutes, but Rival's losing momentum. And I think they're going to feel that, so they need to do something.
Got a bit of momentum on the right now with this minion wave being here and all the members too. The tier 1 will fall, but now Divios is back, looking for a groggy strike, finds it on Callus. Callus up in the air, on landing, where's the backup? It is not needed! Divios solos him down, and now Rival go aggressive.
Moswal's ultimate's going to be up soon. He needs to survive, and Wlfy's going to make sure that he won't.
Got him!
Comes up into the drums of war. Wlfy gets 2.
Got him!
Could he get the 3rd? Put to sleep. Beats is good. Divios put to sleep. Trips. Wlfy, give him the money.
He's going to take the quadrant, not just the money. He'll open the purse, the bank account, and take it all. Rival are back in the game. This is game 4. Rival need to win, and they might be able to do this.
Ryan, you just said Rival needed to do something. They were running out of momentum. How about them apples?
Cyno, this could be bigger apples right now. If they jump from the tree, all in on Wlfy to try and force him back. But a beautiful Aegis comes out, and Cyno has to turn tail.
He's still trying, though. He's still here, trying to find his way in. Very low. The bubblegum is good. Cyno sticky all over the place. 10 kills for Team Rival and the Fire Giants.
Splyce was so close to getting their ultimates up in time. You called it, Tom. Moswal just needed another moment or two in order to get that empty the crypts off, and Rival is not deterred by that extra damage from Divios. They're able to push forward still, and even though Rival was a little bit low, all of that damage was invested into killing Kalas, and he was still able to get enough off and bait out enough that Splyce was resourceless whenever Rival came knocking.
And when you talk about resources, that's what I was thinking at the same time. I'm like, okay, yeah, they got to pick on Callus, but Divios used his whole kit there. even the yawn on the team to make sure they couldn't get in. So that meant that Kumbhakarna wasn't really in that fight for a little while, and Rival went, this is time for us to go.
At the same time, Collis is a large impact guardian as well. Artio, not a character with an ultimate, so she has more abilities to use, which means she's going to be more applicable over time. So, Divios dumping the whole kit into Collis, I don't find that as egregious. Moswal needed help. I don't care where it comes from, he just needed help.
You know what I will say though, I was saying Wlfy got off to a good start and they need to play through him with this Raijin pick. 7-1-3, 100% kill participation. Raijin could be the sleeper god of this tournament, you know.
He's played very, very well. Basically everybody who's played Raijin has had some really good moments, but Wlfy in particular has looked great.
There goes Aror up to the sky. iceicebaby grabs him. The rest of the team surrounds. Collis provides the damage. Last hit for the support.
Everybody falls back from Splyce though. The crypts were emptied by Moswal too. Cyno's now on cooldown as well. There is still a power play here to be had for Rival.
Absolutely. Rival's going to now earn this tier 2 tower after getting that one pick. Aror just cannot be there with a Naja. I mean, he's been doing it to everybody else. With Cyno on his team, you find the tank. Even if you're solo ulting the tank, you're just getting everybody so pushed back from Splyce, and you're able to isolate them and take them down. It takes 3 ultimates from Rival, but it ultimately nets them a Gold Fury and a tier 2.
That's going to be a ton of gold in the pocket. Team Rival separating themselves from Splyce right now. Gold Fury plus the tier 2 tower. Rival certainly building their lead. Rival, they're looking for a Game 5.
They need the Game 5, obviously, because otherwise they're going home and the flight will be booked tonight. Honestly, gold lead isn't that big, though, Aggro. It still matters, but it's not as big as maybe you'd like.
No, and the XP is not as big as you'd like either if you're a Rival fan. Specifically in the jungle, Cyno still has a 2-level lead.
But
over
elsewhere,
iceicebaby. Elsewhere, it's looking good, specifically around Wlfy, and you're right to say that that's where they need to be playing around, especially with that soul gem all ready to go. He's going to have another big item coming because he still hasn't back to base since that last push.
With this game so far, though, this is the first time we've seen the Puch really for Moswal this set.
Yes.
We saw Rival taken away or even banning it. Maybe it was just like pick Raijin and don't worry about it.
Maybe. I mean, it's definitely done well, but I think it's less about this Opwash pick and what it hasn't done and more about how Rival's been able to separate Splyce very, very easily in these team fights. Even with iceicebaby struggling on this Naja, I think Deathwalker's Terra has been so good. He's been part of 9 of the 11 kills so far that Rival have, and his ability to deal relevant damage and CC at the same time has proved real problematic for Splyce.
This is the difference. This is the timeline of the game. Early and mid-game, Splyce's ability to split off and look for picks, that works. Now as the game gets later and later, the Terra and the mid lane mage that Wlfy's playing, these characters are going to obliterate what Splyce tries to do if they spread out.
Now with this lead so far, sure, Rival are just opening up the map for themselves, and you start to talk about the Phoenix Sieges next. And honestly, both teams have a good aggressive Phoenix Siege for Rival. Splyce, though, defense, it's looking pretty solid.
This is where that Blink Terra is going to come into play. We saw Divios do it last game with the same selection. That is the Phoenix breaker, is letting Deathwalker get into the back line immediately and immediately make that Opwash ult deal 5% less damage. And he's taking a lot of damage, and it's forcing Moswal back. I want to see Divios. Normally, I'd want to see him blink onto the back line at the same time. This time around, Mez get Deathwalker out of that area.
This is why we see the Soul Reaver build from Terra. She wants to blink to the back line, obliterate the mage like you were talking about, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, all of those abilities trigger that item. It's why we see this combination every single time.
Also, though, Splyce does have the Darkest of Nights as well, which is always a bit of an issue. Yeah, sure, we could see Deathwalker blink to the back, but when he does so, he's going to be very isolated and blind, like the rest of his team.
And Rival's going to need Baby iceicebaby to go along with him, but he doesn't have blink. It really is going to be Deathwalker zoning away everybody, and so Splyce needs to find the right balance. Do we turn around, peel for Moswal, or do we just let Deathwalker solo our mid laner and try and kill them 4-on-4?
The former. Moswal is too important to this team, this composition specifically, to let him get jumped on.
Talking about too important, this Fire Giant is important for both these two teams right now, and Rival realize they've got a lead, but it's not going to be enough to stop Splyce looking to defend. The Phoenixes are still alive, and that's why you've got the likes of Aror and Divios hovering around here.
Team Rival are in the lead, indisputably. 5,000 gold, though. That's something that I want to see Splyce fight into, or, look at this,
Chip it away. take away some of the towers. Options are available. Divios blinking in, gets Deathwalker to pop his ultimate too. All in on Divios at the moment. Cyno's going to the sky. Divios buying some time for his team as the Darkness of Night goes through. But on the backside of the fight, Aror went too deep, and he's already dead. Rival find a kill. Most ultimates, actually all ultimates used by Splyce.
Cyno had the option to get the 4-man knockup because Aror was there with a huge horrific emblem, but decided against it, played it safe.
Fire Giant one more time being aggressed on. 60% of the objective so far. Now cut down to about half. Team Rival trying to turn around and look at Divios one more time. He's in a little too soon, but Splyce better prepared. iceicebaby in the sky, bringing Moswal down. Aegis is good. Can the team respond?
iceicebaby will do the work to get Wlfy the kill for Moswal. iceicebaby picks up CycloneSpin. Sleepy Kumbhakarna no more, my friend. That's every member dead outside of Cyno, who has to base, and Rival now are going to get this Fire Giant.
Beautiful, beautifully done by Splyce there to try and get it done, but Rival just respond even better than what we saw from them earlier. Rival's able to, again, separate Splyce perfectly in this team fight. Divios teleports in, has a great route, but Wlfy's able to keep Cyno and Divios at bay at the same time, and Aror just going in too early yet again. He's dying without doing enough in these team fights.
Divios did the same thing as well. The first Fire Giant attempt, Divios blinks in at 60% on the objective by himself and his team not within range. Splyce need to calm it down. I think this is a moment where you just gotta pause and hang out. Breathe a moment. Splyce are getting taken advantage of by Team Rival, and I love it because I think it's coming from Wlfy. This guy has had a wonky season. There's been moments where Wlfy is the reason the team has not succeeded, and here he is hard carrying the game. He is keeping them in the finals.
Let's be honest though, we got 2 3-0s yesterday in the semifinals, and in the world of Smite, generally you'll get at least one good best of 5, and I think this is looking like we're gonna go all the way to the 5th game, and what a better time to do it.
You're right, it's usually the semifinals that has a best of 5 that goes all the way and is the really great set that we always remember. This time around, it's looking like it could be the finals, and I agree with you, Tom. I think Wlfy has hard carried this game. Deathwalker has also contributed quite a bit, but Ice definitely stumbled on this Naja selection, and even if Splyce don't end up winning this, I think they still should feel pretty confident going into Game 5, knowing that Rival either has to give Ice a pick that he hasn't looked great on, or end up giving Cyno the Naja.
You guys do say, like, you know, he didn't look great on this, but when it's mattered in these team fights, he's come up big for the team. Been involved in 11 of the kills so far. Sure, he's a setup man. You don't have to be the killer on the team as long as people die.
That's one of the nice things about Naja is that you do have that secondary gear you can sort of shift into, and he's done that.
The CC, the control, right?
Yeah, I'm down. Sure. It's still the Wlfy show, baby. He's still just absolutely crushing it.
15-8 then, Fire Giant on the team of Rival for about another minute and, well, actually 2 minutes available for them with this, and with all the towers already being down, attention turns to the Phoenixes, and the Phoenix Siege is something we spoke about a little bit earlier on. Now, we're gonna get to see one.
Thunder is the pickup for Aror. He's going to look to jump in on a Kalos most likely right away. Could be Deathwalker if he gets him. That's going to be difficult because Deathwalker's going to blink in.
Looks like the fans are now in the Rival camp for this engagement. They want a Game 5 as well. In goes Deathwalker first of all, leading the charge. Kalos on the left, going to try and cause some problems for Aror. A little bit of poke, nothing too crazy for the time being. Rival waiting for the right moment in time.
Still waiting, biding their time. Team Rival positioned as 5 on the left-hand side. Cyno waiting either for the assassin to split off or for a flank of his own.
But look at the clump from Rival. They've not sent anyone mid here. They're all just still grouping on this side.
Because they're waiting on Deathwalker. His blink, even though it's a 5-on-5 very telegraph fight, blink, Earth, and Fury does so much it doesn't matter.
Here we go then. Kalos going to lead in again. Damage down from Moswal just to push them back a little bit. But all the while, this Phoenix is slowly getting chipped away at. It's not going down just yet, though.
Kalos still in the charge, wants to be the target. An ultimate coming out from CycloneSpin usually means a surge.
Wow, look at the panic on Rival, but it might still be okay for them.
I don't know.
The ultimate out of Wlfy there.
And Earth and Fury. And Earth and Fury got used in the middle of that as well. That is huge for Splyce.
I loved it. Splyce does a great job of baiting it out. The deke, it was all a jab.
But hang on a second, Callus pulled back in, not the prime target. Cyno to the back line, gets a good knock-up, but still everyone on Rival alive. And Callus will walk away, okay. Regen will come through. But that was a little bit nervy from both two teams.
Fire Giant's about to fall off a Rival. This siege should be called off here, even with this Phoenix at half HP. Wlfy doesn't have beads anymore. Divios can get into that back line, even without that blink, and try and hit him with that CC.
Vogue does have his ultimate available, but no relics available for the Hunter from Rival. He's the one that does the damage to the Phoenix. On the front lines, they're trying to work it down as Divios goes in. Join on 4 targets. CycloneSpin whacking away with the bows in the back. But still, there's pressure onto Splyce.
Terra does a great job, and iceicebaby gonna follow up. Brings one up. Divios not dead just yet. In comes Aror and starts playing defense. Can't do it. Wlfy gets the kill. Divios is gonna eat it.
But still, the Phoenix still stands. And Moswal got it. That was a big scream for a Phoenix show if I've ever heard one.
Earth and Fury's back up. Rival still going for this Phoenix sash on a Cyno, but he's still standing.
Trouble, Aror jumping in looking for the stun. Iceice takes care of the jungler. The Phoenix is down.
And immediately with the Phoenix going down, look at the Rival turn and flee. Deathwalker low, Callus a little bit low too. But the damage has been done, and honestly, that's what Rival cared about.
Oh man, that was close. Like I said, I thought Rival really should have given up that left side Phoenix siege, but they're able to really toe that line perfectly. Just enough to get Divios to commit in, get Aror to take too much damage, and let Moswal end up getting 1 kill, but not as many as they felt like he could have.
I have never seen a Darkest of Nights get so many ultimates from a whole squad.
With nothing else as well. I mean, they thought that Cyno, they assumed Cyno was going up, exactly, and he just wasn't.
Exactly. Hey man, I love the cerebral side of the game. I love to outsmart my opponent. This is what we call conditioning. You do the same move over and over.
So do you do it again then and see if they do it one more time and then initiate?
This is a result of it, what happened. CycloneSpin has routinely ulted and Cyno has gone in tandem. This is the first time that Cyno wasn't with him, and they assumed that was the case. That was a beautiful, beautiful play from Splyce.
Normally, I wouldn't want to see Splyce push up in this position, but I think their fight is so much better with either team not having relics that I like this.
Sash from iceicebaby catches Divios and takes him up. Everybody waiting for the drop down, and the drums are sounded by Wlfy. Cyno gets to the sky though, but Moswal got a kill on Deathwalker. Wlfy brings down Divios already. This is a mess of a fight at the moment between the two. 2 for 1 as now Splyce fall back.
The Crips were great, but now that they're over, Team Rival is on the chase. Cyno's got a bubble, so he won't be CC'd at first.
Trouble.
He will be CC'd at the second
He's
time,
in trouble.
and he will go down.
20 to 10. Fire Giant opened up again. Minions in the left-hand lane going to be forcing the Titan defense. And now it's all up to Rival to continue cleaning up what they started.
Deathwalker wins that fight, not with Earth and Fury or a big root or really even a big stun. He just laid the walls down to prevent any help from coming for Divios, and as soon as Divios hits the ground, he face plants straight inside that wall, and that was perfect from Deathwalker. Cost him his life, but well worth the Fire Giant.
Both teams here really showing exactly why they got to the final stage. Back and forth, knockout blow for knockout blow so far. With only 2 members to defend for Splyce, trying to keep this Raijin Phoenix up is going to be difficult. Divios now coming through, but the Phoenix is already gone.
Moswal lost his Magi's cloak mad early. He's got to be very, very careful. Still has the beads, but as soon as he gets sashed like that, you see how he walks backwards? He knows that he just is way too unsafe in that position.
Not as unsafe as you normally would be against Naja, because traditionally you'll see Blink coming out of that jungler. This time around, though, it's all about those beads Aegis for iceicebaby. He got far too punished in the early game, and remember, he started off, I believe it was 0-4, maybe 1-4 at best. Since then, he's been on point with these ultimates. He's been getting a lot more poke damage off. You were asking for more from him, Tom, and I think he's delivered.
Rival then looking to tie this up and make it 2-2 with 1 game to go. You look back at last year, that's exactly the same situation they were in going to a Game 5 against the United. They've been in the same position before. They don't want to be bridesmaids again. But Splyce, from bottom of the SPL at the start of the year to the finals with just 1 game away from winning it all.
One of my favorite stories across all esports. 1 season. When we talk about teams like Rival that have made these transformations, it's a long time. It's over multiple seasons. It's over multiple different metas. Splyce started at the bottom in January, February, March more likely. And now here we are in November, and they are literally almost the top.
One game away, but now Rival's knocking on their doorstep to try and force it to 5, and there's only one Phoenix standing between them and the Titan.
Couple of minions on the left-hand side will reach there soon. Fire minions pouring down there and the right. In goes Aror, trying to commit. Picks up Deathwalker, but already Aror is almost out of health. He's still alive somehow. And Cyclone picks up Deathwalker.
The Crips drop down. Big damage coming out from Moswal. Cyclone just put a dot on it.
Aror just went full-on man mode and it paid off.
It did, but that was all 5 ultimates from Splyce, and Rival still looking real good on resources for this next fight, should they choose to take it.
They're taking it a bit slow here, though. Fell back quite deep. If you look at Callus' health, the Fire Giant will regen that.
And like I was saying earlier, it's all about this Blink, Earth, and Fury. How do you stop the Blink, Earth, and Fury? You bring the Earth and Fury to you, but it's before he's already dead by the time his feet hit the ground. That ultimate from Terra did very, very little for Rival.
And you've got to, I mean, Splyce have to stay aggressive. They are behind. They are on the back foot, behind the 8 ball. Choose your idiom. The response is the same. They have to stay aggressive. This Fenrir support does that. It jumps in, it grabs you, it runs away. If you are too afraid to do that, you can't play the character.
The fact he's doing it into an Artio every single time is really impressive as well.
Yeah.
But the Magi's Cloak obviously is definitely going to be helping with some of that, and of course the Ragnarok.
Lono's mask is the big deal, though, for Aror. I mean, this item is absurd. A damage mitigation, almost always going to be better than any other stat you can get as far as defense goes, and Lono's has plenty of it. 20% less damage taken at all times.
You want to talk about items? I want to bless Wlfy for the Shaman's Ring. This item is criminally underpurchased, 100 power, and then some. Buy it more often.
On the right characters, and Raijin is certainly one of them. You want it on characters that are combo-based, like, say, Poseidon, Whirlpool, and the Kraken, or characters that are dot-based, like Wlfy's Raijin.
Really surprised, though, that Rival, losing that one member, fell so far back. They've now regened again, but the left-hand Phoenix has respawned. Middle Phoenix still stands. Right one's coming up as well soon. I guess we're looking towards the next Fire Giant.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You're not going to end up pushing with 5 seconds left on a Fire Giant when you're that far away. That means that'll be enough time for Kalos' Shell to come back up as well, which is critical up against CycloneSpin. Shell, specifically when upgraded, is much, much better against crit builds because you're getting 2 autos off the table, whereas hunters that are building crit like CycloneSpin is are really hoping that 2 autos are the difference in half your HP.
And for Cyclone, it will be for most of those players. Got to get rid of that shell. And you look at what Cyno's going to be able to do, cleave, basics. We talk about that with farming the jungle. That's actually something that's very relevant.
Now this next Fire Giant, obviously, do we see Splyce defend first of all, do you reckon?
This Fire Giant, no. They've still got the right side Phoenix. They want to get a little bit healthier. And these last 2 Phoenix defenses have gone so well, why risk it?
And if you Rival then, which Phoenix do you go for? You go for the weakened ones, or do you try and hit the big one and hope the minions do the rest?
No, you're not going to have enough time to let your Fire minions push on this right-hand side. I think that you start on right because it'll be the weakest, or it could be worthwhile. It depends on if you have power pots ready and waiting for you. Could be some players waiting on 3Ks. If they have enough, I think you back and push left side Phoenix. Otherwise, this right side already has a minion wave close enough. Though Iceice being on the left means that he might be able to start surging that minion wave on left side as well.
Timing kind of perfect here for Rival. If Fire Giant spawn 15 seconds later, Splyce defend it. That's it. Beautiful timing for Team Rival. Not exactly something that they drew up or planned, but they'll take it.
Fortune favors the brave, right? I guess in a weird way of looking at it. 31 kills in this game at 38 minutes in then. It's all still to play for, but Rival definitely have this game by the scruff of the neck and are trying to end it here and take us to a game 5. Splyce, though, all 3 Phoenixes are up in the last couple of fights. They've looked a little bit scared of Rival here.
The 2 best teams at fighting from behind are here in the finals. You can extend that to trifecta, and they almost got here. But that's why these guys are here. So this looks dire. I'm still not counting Splyce out.
Especially the later this goes.
Exactly.
Especially the later this goes, because it means those respawn timers, there's a lot to do for Splyce to end. They still have towers in every lane and Phoenix is up. But at this point, these respawn timers are going to be 45, 50, 60 seconds long.
Season 5 has been a lot about defense. Team Rival trying to stretch it to a game 5. Splyce trying to win it off of that D.
Callus goes in and takes up the start, but here goes Cyno to the sky. Vote is very low already, but the Relics keep him topped up, as does the airstrike. But Callus got brought all the way back in by Aror for the kill, and Rival turned tail once more.
Again, the defensive composition. Moswal on the op wash just creates a zone that you're not allowed to walk into, and Aror says you're not allowed to leave it.
But Vote's got to do better than that. He's all the way up on that front line. That makes it an easy blink ultimate for Divios.
But he's got to hit the Phoenix, right?
But you have to let Deathwalker be the first one in. Let him push back these backliners so that CycloneSpin can't be auto-attacking you, so that Moswal's damage isn't relevant to you. You have to let your tanks go in first.
Well, with that, then it's a moment in time for Splyce to push out their lanes a little bit, even things up. No more fire minions available. Gold not really important in terms of the Gold Fury, but just keeping it busy for the time being. Splyce is just trying to weather out this fire giant. And then the next one, if this is how it looks on the map, they could try and contest it.
Well, Splyce certainly going to pick up the tier 2 tower. Fire giant going to be on for about 2 more minutes or so, 1 more minute. And Splyce, this is all they need to do. Be aggressive here, but don't get over-aggressive. And they're going to retreat, maybe look for a Gold Fury if they really want it, and then play D one more time.
And now Splyce has a win condition. They're back on the game. They now just need to win one fight mostly cleanly, and they can march it right up mid, and they've got enough time at this point, enough damage in order to do it.
And this is a huge turning point mentally for the players. I think 5-10 minutes ago, Splyce sit there and go, man, what do we do? We are so far behind. We are so out of it. And like Ryan said, there is now a rubric. There is now a set of options. You know how to win the game.
You've got a live draw, again, whereas before you're top decking looking for just about anything. Now you've got something on the board, and you're 1 card away from winning the game now.
You're talking about mentality, though. Well, that's on the side of Splyce. Rival, they had 1 Phoenix left to get, and now they've been pushed back out time and time again. This could start hurting Rival if they don't find something soon.
That is a big key of Season 5, is that you can feel dejected after trying to siege so many times.
Callus gonna take up the Phoenix, and Aror goes straight in. Leap off the mark just a hair, but the Magi's cloak is now down. Cyno in the sky, but Deathwalker is eating way too much damage. The Crips and CycloneSpin keep him at bay and force Rival back again.
Moswal! Over and over again, he puts it up and puts the players down.
And that was a weirdly timed seed from Rival because Vote's Aegis just now came up. Kalas' Shell just now came up. Why are they trying to force that when they know they've got limited time left on fire and they're low on relics? That was a bad engagement by Rival.
Splyce, they've got the crowd behind them now. I think everybody is realizing that, as ridiculous as this might have seemed, 30 minutes in, 42 minutes in, Splyce are now the aggressors.
And they're barreling down the mid lane already with a Xbalanque. They shouldn't take too long to bring it down. It's a 4v5 for another 23 seconds. This may not be game winning, but it really could be game changing.
It could be. That Empty the Crypts is ready to go.
Aror jumps in, picks up a target, it's Callus and brings him back. The Crypts are there, the damage from Cyclone is there, and Callus is still standing tall, but on the back line, Cyno is causing problems too.
He's going to be dealing with the enemy jungler, mid lane Phoenix, 25%. Aror has to get on out of there. Big ring bounce.
That was a huge sash there. Cyclone has got to use the beads, and watch out, Deathwalker has that teleport. Splyce needs to get going, and now their chance at fire is most likely gone. They had the choice. They had a choice to go for Phoenix or wait it out and try and take a 5-on-5 at Fire Giant. With that decision and it not going well, Splyce end up giving up another fire.
Look at the health on that Phoenix in mid. It was so close to being successful on the original push, but like you said, Rival now on the Fire Giant.
Relics, there was 1 relic down on Splyce that entire fight, and it was the Sunder from Aror, and that is the entire difference. That means that Kalas is able to escape when he really normally would have died during these last few sieges. But now you look at the relic situation, and it's looking pretty decent if you're Team Rival, because CycloneSpin's beads are down, Cyno doesn't have the blink, and neither does Divios.
So back we go again to the same situation that Splyce have faced off a couple of times before. 3 Phoenixes alive, right and left ones are weakened, which means they will die a little bit quicker. But Rival once more has all the Fire Giant buff, but they're waiting on relics right now, and that's why the slowdown's gonna happen.
Team Rival's done a much better job in this game dealing with CycloneSpin. Sure, the Freya versus the Xbalanque could be a conversation, but we're at the point where Xball is absolutely crushing it. They've just been able to section him off, avoid the damage from the carry, and CycloneSpin, although his player damage is high, has been relatively low impact in juxtaposition to what we saw before.
Speaking of the Xbalanque as well, at this stage of the game, do you still want that over the Jingwei? Does he still have the best Hunter late game?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Jingwei is really, really good in the late game, don't get me wrong. You basically have 3 guaranteed crits with explosive bolts, and that's very, very potent. But nothing compares to Darkest of Nights. It's all of this trouble sieging is really on 2 ultimates that Splyce has. It's Empty the Crypts and it's Darkest of Nights. And if you have any chance to be able to break it, you have to be able to weather both of those. And that's very, very difficult. Splyce is drafted in a way that makes it nearly impossible to siege against them.
Looks like they're going to do the 4-1 split, they being Team Rival. We've seen them group up as 5 for the most part as they try to siege. Now that Splyce have successfully defended a number of times, Team Rival going back to the drawing board and trying to change it up.
I like that because clearly something needs to change for Rival, and it's been Splyce that's been initiating. That's what they changed up. Instead of letting Deathwalker blink, instead of letting Kalas get in and poke you out, Auror's been leaping in, and Rival needs to be ready for that.
Keep an eye on Aror to do it one more time, but this time round, a couple more Magi's Cloaks available for the frontliners, actually, just to make sure this Ragnarok's not as easy to get hold of.
Aror, gonna hold back for now. Team Rival, playing it slow, playing it cautious, wants to see who's around the corner. They drop the ward, they know it's there. Hi-rez goes to the back line, forces Moswal off early. That could be the difference maker.
Deathwalker pulled all the way in, but the Crypts have already entered. Deathwalker's dead to CycloneSpin, and at the same time, Cyno gets out of danger. 4 healthy members of Rival, though, and iceice goes in and does CycloneSpin, but Cyclone is just whacking away with bowlers.
Left side Phoenix already dead. Rival need to get out of here, and they finally will. Moswal and Cyclone carefully give a little bit of chase, but they've got to be careful.
They might go in and get on the mid lane now, no Rival. That is a full strength Phoenix there, so it's a little bit awkward to try and go for that. Rival recognizing 1 Phoenix is all they can get.
I love that Splyce are pushing up right now.
They could be looking for it, but iceice isn't going to be a good target. Check it out. He sold all of his items for the tank options. He has a Lono's mask now. No longer worried about that.
Are they going for a Phoenix or a pick? It looks like a Phoenix.
I don't know that they can. I mean, they've got fire minions to worry about on the left-hand side. It's not going to end the game, but it's only a 4v5 for 25 seconds. Then Deathwalker can blink to close that gap.
All right, barrel down mid. Cyno, Divios, Moswal right behind them is the rest of the team. They're going to try and siege up this Phoenix in mid against a Fire Giant team.
I think this is a mistake, Hindu Man. I don't think they have the artillery to do so, and Splyce recognize the fact.
It might be a bit of a fake out out there, pushing the minion wave up. Rival's like, wait a second, we're 4v5. We better just hold for a second. But also, those minions now have to travel all the way back down the lane again to get anywhere near that middle Phoenix.
And it buys time off the Fire Giant that is going to fall off right about now. I agree, Splyce doesn't need to leave their Phoenixes. I mean, no reason. Stoop Kid's hanging out. He's on a stoop and he's having fun because his defenses have gone very, very well so far for Splyce. So that same exact fight doesn't work if it's in middle lane. The only reason that happened okay for Rival is because they'd already gotten that Phoenix once.
Well, the Pyromancer are going to go to Team Rival, and I talk a lot about how the Pyromancer, I think, is a relatively low impact objective. This is the moment where it's high impact.
Yes.
You want to have that ability to go back to base, rush out, and resume the fight as quickly as possible.
Specifically for solo laners that can teleport in, have that speed buff ready, and affect those fights very, very quickly. Look at this. Rival already has 5 fires this game.
5 Fire Giants.
Is the 6th one the charm?
And this is 5 Fire Giants just to try and get to a Game 5. Not even to win the tournament. This is just to get to Game 5 because Splyce are up 2-1 and are doing such a good job on defense.
The thing that I do want to point out, though, is that this is almost a tie game. Splyce are behind now because of the left side Phoenix, but the numbers up top don't matter.
I'm just scared for Rival that they're in their own head just a little bit. It looked like it on the Phoenix Sieges a couple of times. They've been in this spot before and they know it themselves. They don't want to go down without a proper fight. They are here to try and win it all.
Man, this is Rival going, oh, so this is what it's like to siege against us. I mean, this is the only team that can do it, is either Rival or Splyce in my mind on this sort of defense. These two teams have very similar layouts, and if you want to succeed at Season 5, here's the formula. This might be a little late for a lot of teams. Have a really good team that's playing defense, be able to weather early leads, and then also have a good, solid duo lane that can't get bullied out early.
I said it before, these are arguably the two best teams at fighting from behind. Season 5 introduced a whole new world when it comes down to Phoenix sieging. And these are the two teams that have adapted to the new game better, quicker, and stronger than the other squads.
Left-hand side, there is fire minions pouring in there, and someone's going to have to go back to defend eventually. Otherwise, those fire minions will wrap all the way around to the Titan and start to bring it down. 4-1 split at the moment as Cyno just stands in mid, looking, staring at iceicebaby, challenging them to the 1v1.
And the reason he does that is to spread the floor. Put 4 defenders instead of 5 on the right side Phoenix. Sure, Team Rival has the same amount, but it's just going to even things out.
Divios goes in on iceicebaby. What a raw ultimate from Iceice. He catches CycloneSpin. The damage after the fact brings down Cyclone. To the back line goes Splyce, trying to defend for all they're worth, but Rival did so much with that ult.
One more shot on Cyno and he's dead, but he blinks on out. Team Rival get the kill on
What
the
an
hunter.
ult!
Sick, and that's the first time that Cyclone didn't just stand his ground and hit the beads just half a second too late, and it ends up costing him.
Divios on the right side trying to do what he can, but he's surrounded. He's down. He's sleeping. Good night, sweet prince. We knew you well. Left Phoenix already dead. Right Phoenix dead. Middle one to join it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to go to Game 5 in the Smite World Championships of Season 5.
Took him a little bit, but it turns out that 6 Fire Giants is indeed the charm.
Sighs of relief from Team Rival. I think this is a situation that they need to be in. They expect to be in, I should say. And that was a moment, there was a moment of question from Team Rival. But as soon as they get this Team 5, you can see Alpha Jackal riled up. I think game number 5 is going to be rambunctious.
The way the game ended overall, though, it was looking like it needed one person to step up at the right moment. And iceicebaby just went, you know what? It's me. I'm going to do this for the boys.
Exactly. You just need someone to step up and make a play. And iceicebaby did just that. Wlfy's ability to instantly get that execute on a Cyclone before he could ever use a relic. That Tycho drums did just enough damage to kill Cyclone.
What I love about that is that I think iceicebaby had a relatively slow game. And he's the guy to bring home the touchdown.
4 games down. Let's go on another. We'll be back after the break. Let's go to the Desto to talk about that 50-plus minute game, shall we?
Hindu, F.Agro, thank you guys so much there. Anatoly Taco, we're getting a Game 5 in the grand finals with the 2 best teams in the world.
These teams just pulling out all the stops with the picks and bans, and man, did Rival have to go the distance in that one. Against Moswal's Puch, it was like going through a brick wall.
It really looked like Splyce had that one on lock, especially with the way that the game started off because of iceicebaby's decision to opt for that Aegis over the purification beads. He was just the primary target of focus every single time. No matter where he tried to rotate for a gank, he was just met by Aror on this Fenrir and Ragnaroked into his death.
And because of that Aegis selection, he was forced to go into beads at level 12. No blink nausea from iceicebaby. It was more difficult to siege the Phoenixes as a result until finally the hero MVP play from iceicebaby, catching CycloneSpin in the air with an ultimate and Wlfy locking him down.
That's what they needed. They tried that siege over and over and over again with a Fire Giant buff, and they were able to, Aurora would jump in, grab that one pick Deathwalker usually, and then they would run away. Rival playing safe there ultimately worked out for them in the end, but it took a long time to get there.
It was around the 16-minute mark, I believe, where the real turnaround took place because it was just too much of an overcommit from Splyce, and then Rival were able to effectively punish. And from that point forward, it really felt like Rival just had charge and full control of the pacing.
This is that exact team fight. They kill out Moswal. Actually, it was Callus that guy dies from Rival side, but the overcommitment out of Splyce. There was no mana for CycloneSpin. He couldn't really escape. This is where Wlfy gets a quadra kill. He had so much momentum after this, going 13, 2 deaths, 8 assists, 21 kill participation out of 22.
Wlfy definitely there was the reason that they were able to finally get that Phoenix down, finally get CycloneSpin down and go for the win. So does that mean that we're not going to see a Raijin ban coming into Game 5?
Anything goes, I think, between these two teams, Taco.
I don't think it's very likely to see a Raijin Raijin ban so much as I would expect Moswal to maybe try and take it away. But more importantly, I think Splyce didn't really go wrong in their draft. I think they just went wrong in the execution. When you allow a Raijin to get a quadra kill from just player error alone, that's not so much a drafting issue, nearly as much as it is just decision-making cutting short.
I agree. I think the outwash worked out well defensively, but they couldn't really make it happen offensively at the end of the day because of having to go through so many towers. It was basically Splyce playing defensive for too long. They only found one pick. If they got at least a second one, there would have been more Phoenixes on the North American side.
Also, when Splyce finally did make an attempt towards bringing down the mid-side Phoenix, Cyclone was a little bit preoccupied because the team call was most likely to just focus on Collis, bring down Collis, and if they managed to kill the Artio, then they'd be able to push in a little bit better. Unfortunately, that didn't really work out, and by the time that they shifted their attention back towards that Firebird, it was too late. They didn't have an opportunity, and they instead were treated with that Phoenix only a couple autos away from falling.
And I love the composition between not just Aror playing the Fenrir, but Divios on this Kumbhakarna. He was so obnoxious during laning phase up against Deathwalker, and the combination of these two gods, it forced a lot of Mad Guy's cloak, and Divios would be the one to go in, pop the bubbles with the Mez, and then Aror would come in to clean up, find somebody isolated with a Ragnarok.
Before that late game, though, even in the early game, Divios seemed a little too aggressive. A few times he was caught out of position, and that definitely seems to be a play that you wouldn't expect them to be making this stage of the game.
Yeah, that was kind of like a ranked play from him and around the blue buff where he's trying to assert his dominance, and he just gets full-on rotated, and I think Wlfy got that kill.
It's only a matter of time before those little moments of over-aggression start to slip in, because when you're this far invested into a set, I mean, 4 games alone, it's pretty intense to play, not even just mentally, but also physically. It can be a little bit tiring because you're constantly on alert.
Right, yeah, I mean, we've been here since 3 p.m. We've been here for over 3 hours, almost 4 hours now, and that last game alone was 50 minutes long. It's got to be exhausting. You have to have that mentality with you to keep going on.
And these teams came into this set without a single defeat between them, and I think that now this is where the true mental fortitude is up at the test. Going into now from a best of 5 to a best of 3 to a single game. Winner goes home being the HRX 2018 champion.
Guys, I mean, I've been saying this over and over again, but how can you predict this game? Every time one team seems to have the advantage, the next game, they turn it around. They learn from the opposite teams. Kabam and Afajaku here are doing phenomenally for their teams, trying to keep them together, trying to keep them poised, and to have the right synergy.
I think Splyce fell into the same trap that Rival did in Game 2, where Rival's draft was too aggressive to a fault, and I think their draft from Splyce was also too aggressive. Like, Divios playing the Kumbhakarna is good offensively and defensively, but Aror has to commit too offensively. The Terra was a great switch up, I think. Deathwalker was making a lot of plays, blinking into that backline.
Hey, audience.